What's going on, everybody? Here tuning into a brand new episode of the Restricted Zone podcast. And as you can see, it's just two of the guys here today, two of the members here today. Myself, Kyrie Hill, will be here hosting the show, and I got my guest, my best friend, fellow Knicks fan, Elijah, here with us today. Elijah,
Unfortunately.
say what's up to the viewers, man.
Yo. What's good, everybody? Let's have some fun tonight.
Sure, for sure. And me and Elijah here talk about none other than some basketball right here tonight. We're going to be talking about the 2023 NBA Summer League and what we've seen so far, and some players that impressed us, some players that might have disappointed us. And then we're going to shift the topic into we're going to rank our top three young cores in the league, and we're going to give you guys our explanations or breakdowns why we got those young guys, the young cores that we have ordered the way they do. So when we're just gonna dive straight into it, man. So live, let me know what's been catching your eye so far in summer league. Who's a player or what's a team that's really been impressed you so far in summer league and has really stood out to you so far?
So I have two, and they're both positive. One, I want to give a huge shout out to somebody I gave him. I don't remember what exactly my take was on him last year coming into him getting drafted, how way he ended his rookie season. But Jabari Smith, he's become just a player that a player that I thought he could be, and I was expecting him to be coming right into the league. But understanding the situation he's in, a place like Houston where they really didn't have any structure. Now it looks like they're kind of leading into the direction of where they are getting a structure with guys like Ime Udoka there, grabbing vets like Dylan Brooks and Fred Van Vliet. That's a little bit more controversial considering the bread they may have paid them. But overall, though, I do feel like they're kind of moving in the right direction, especially the way I've been seeing Jabari. And I really like the way his offensive game has looked, especially off the dribble and being able to get into his own mid-range game. Him having that confidence. I think beginning of the first half of the last season, his confidence was really like iffy, and I think he was kind of trying to fit into what they thought he wanted him to be, which I thought was like a pick and popper guy, like a pick and pop 3 and D guy. When honestly, I feel like his game is more centered around just being in the mid range. To me, bro, it looks like he's having fun out there. Honestly, like he's enjoying the way he's playing basketball in the summer league right now, and I'm loving the way he looks. Honestly, I want to talk before the week recorded. I had a little hot take, and I can see him being on the same level, if not better than Jaren offensively, and maybe an overall player. Because I do still feel like Jabari Smith's defense is just as potentially good as Jaren's. Maybe not defensive player of the year, but I do feel like he's a viable switchable defender on the perimeter as well.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that because that was something I was really thinking about a little bit before the pod too. And I told you it was funny because you brought it up right after I was going through it. And he got a lot of comparisons to Jaren Jackson Jr., who you referenced right before the draft last year, and for a lot of good reasons. They can stretch the floor. They're long, rangy bigs that are mobile and can block shots and are active around the rim. So I could definitely see that it is. We'll call it fair or not, but this is always, in my eyes, at least, always going to be that comparison. And who knows? Maybe he can even there's maybe even a higher peak we don't know about. But for right now, that kind of seems like the peak for me, kind of like a Jaren Jackson mode, and I feel like that's always going to be the comparison throughout his career. But what I think could separate him, and I do kind of agree with that hot take that you said, like he could possibly like break that ceiling to be better than Jaren Jackson in certain aspects. And I thought about it in these ways, like on the defensive end, like you mentioned, I think Jaren Jackson Jr. pretty much has it solidified as being a better paint presence and being a better shot blocker because one, his frame built up a lot faster than Jabari. That's not saying Jabari's not going to put on any weight or nothing, but he still seems to have like that slender frame that he had kind of coming into the league. And I think because of that, and not to say he's not really tough because he does battle down there in the paint, but he's not going to be able to hold his own as much as Jaren. And he's just simply not as good as time in his shot blocking as Jaren is. And again, that's not to say he's not, but even like around these certain like that, at this time like their careers, we could definitely see that Jaren stood out more on that in that part. But on the defensive end, as far as going to the perimeter, I can see Jabari being better with that because of his build. Where I mentioned like he's a little slimmer, he's a little more agile, he's quicker. And when he gets down in his defensive position, he gets really low and he can contain guards really well. And it's hard for guys to get around him. and that slender frame, that quick those quick feet, they allow him to maneuver screens a little bit better. So I can see him because of that having just as much of an impact as Jaren has, and that's also a given on how the Rockets develop as a team because the Grizzlies as a whole are a good defensive team. We can't
Right.
say that at all about the Rockets. So as far as Jabari goes, I think it does matter as well as like guys like Sengun and Tari Eason, who I want to touch on later too. As far as who impressed us in the summer league, I think it takes guys around him getting better. But as far as like him containing guards and around the perimeter, being able to switch all the time, that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
something that definitely makes him stand out. And as far as his offensive game, before I hand it back to you, I want to touch on this because it's something we talked about a little bit too. I think he'll be able to expand more and be a little more versatile offensively than Jaren is because Jaren is really a pick and pop standalone shooter from the outside, and he's very good at it. In the paint, he maybe 1 2 dribble, uh, maybe hook, or like he gets his points off the offensive rebound or like dump offs. Not too much of a creator. Where Jabari, we seen it in this summer
You can
league.
see his mechanics. His
He's
mechanics are
very
all there.
smooth, very polished. And like you said, like he looked like he's having fun. He looked like this is like what he's done back at Auburn when he again back when he was having fun and he was comfortable. He was the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively, he could take some dribbles and hit a step back from three like we see him do to James Wiseman and was screaming like yo he can't guard me, feel me? And we see him take the ball in the mid range and hit those mid range shots where I think could really be his bread and butter. And he could take guys to the rack. He's quick. He has long arms. He could take guys to the rack with his athleticism. So I think those traits alone in his game, which I see as not all the way there yet, as far as being down packed when we're talking about him playing with NBA level guys in the regular
Right.
season, but something that we can definitely see him growing into, given his
Mm-hmm.
role with the Rockets and how the Rockets go forward. But yeah, I really like that one. If you don't have anything else to say about Jabbar, I want to hear who else you excited about.
So I got one more, and this one is kind of like a wishy-washy one because I still don't necessarily love the pick for
Hmm.
well, not the pick, but the fit for the team he's on. But I'm starting to understand why they grabbed him, and that's Leonard Miller for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's honestly had a good game every game he's played. He's honestly what I've noticed from him. He doesn't need to score points for him to have fun and him to be effective for that team. And I think that's one of the reasons why they grabbed him. Them losing Vanderbilt and halfway through the season, him getting traded to the Lakers, he kind of fills that void in with them. And he's a
That's good.
great rim runner. I mean, them signing Nas Reed for a few more years, I feel like he's a great accent piece for him off the bench. A guy that can stay on the perimeter, occasionally dive into the basket. Nas Reed can dish off to him because he's a playmaking big type guy off the bench for them. Um, I just love him. He's fun to watch. He again another Jaren Jackson esque player with his like off mechanics. His mechanics are off. His jumper looks a little weird, but it goes
Yeah,
in. It works for him. But yeah, just another guy that I was kind of high on. I honestly, as far as fit, bro, could you imagine him with the Miami Heat right now? Like that would be amazing. The Indiana
man, that's
Pacers,
his
if they had a
career.
later pick around that time.
Hmm.
So like the guys like the Golden State Warriors, they needed a guy with some type of size and energy that they can kind of plug in quick. And I feel like he would have been a potential player that could do that considering the way he plays his game. But
Right.
again, I see why Minnesota needed him. Them losing Vanderbilt and them not having Torian Prince anymore. They need some type of defensive presence with some type of excitement on the other side of that floor, and they got that with Leonard Miller.
Yeah, and I really love that shout out because just like you, bro. I was high on him coming in before the draft. We was high on him in last year's draft when they was talking about him coming out, and I seen him as a first round pick, and I've been watching him these past 2 games and putting up 18 and 8, and I'm throwing my hands up like, yo, he's a first round pick. And the one thing I like about him, despite his irky jerky like unorthodox kind of play style, is that he's very aggressive. And sometimes he can get a little bit of a little tunnel vision, but when he gets the rebound, he has intentions of going back up with it, and either drawing a foul or getting that putback. And when he's driving, he knows he uses his body well and he uses his frame well to create some space and to take contact and to get his shot off. So he's shown a lot to really like, and he kind of like you were saying, he kind of changed my perspective a little bit as far as his fit with Minnesota because like you mentioned, backing up Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns, like whether like if they're healthy, him and Nas Reed off the bench is a very good fit. They both can rebound. They both can take the rebound and dribble the ball up the
And
floor.
push the floor down the floor. Yep.
Good passes. Nas has very good instincts of if he doesn't have the rebound, he's out of there. He's running up the floor. And Leonard Miller's a good passer. He's somebody that could find you. So I really do like that fit. And I think given what he's shown in the summer league so far, again, his aggressiveness, his ability to finish at the rim and rebound, I think he could carve him out some minutes like early in Minnesota and not kind of take the journey. We see like with a lot of second round picks where they spend some time in the G League, they're getting garbage time minutes. I can see Leonard Miller like honestly, bro, getting like minutes off the rip, like opening nights like 14 to 15 minutes a game. Like it just getting his
Mm-hmm.
feet wet and just growing as you go along because you got to remember he was playing against some of these NBA guys last year in the G League Ignite.
Yes,
So
sir.
he again and say what you people can say what they want about G League Ignite, but as far as like it goes, like with scouting these players and kind of projecting what these guys do at the next level, you got to keep that in mind that they were playing with guys right below this level, and we're kind of into the NBA lifestyle, and we're like seeing the move like a pro being the G League Ignite already. So I think the future is bright for bro. To be honest with you, whether he stays in Minnesota long term and he his contract up, but I think the future is bright for bro regardless. But another it seems like we're talking about all four men right now because another one I wanted to bring up was a guy we mentioned earlier, Tari Eason, and bro in these games, I it's and I hate saying it, and it's kind of crazy because last season there was a lot of points during the season where Tari Eason seemed to be the better than Jabari Smith in a lot of
Yep.
ways and seemed to have a lot of like he seemed to like it seemed like the Rockets trusted him a lot more, especially on the
It,
defensive end.
it was his
Like,
play style, really. He's not too perimeter dependent. He's very interior based. He's very
mhm,
rim run based. He doesn't necessarily need the ball in his hands to be effective. And I think Jabari was trying to find that identity of how he could be effective without having the ball in his hands.
right.
So Tari, he's pretty much easy to. He's a guy that's going to dive right down to the rim. He's going to set picks, roll, and he maybe occasional mid range if it comes in. It comes at the opportunity to. But again,
Mm-hmm.
his defense, his interior defense, is just he kind of
Different,
honestly,
bro.
bro.
It's
He's kind of
different.
like he's like Jarris Walker before Jarris Walker in a way. The way the hype Jarris Walker has this year is pretty much what Tari Eason had last year, and nobody really noticed until he got onto the court once he started playing for NA. So
Right.
it's I'm excited for them. I mean, we're gonna talk about the top three young cores soon, and I don't want to give out too much, but he's one of the main reasons why I feel like they're gonna have a bright future, and the way they can it honestly depends on how they can rotate the four men on their roster. They already let
Mm-hmm.
go KJ Martin, which
Opens
as
up some
much as
more.
I love him, as much as I love him, and I didn't want him to go, it was kind of meant. It's right for both parties. I didn't like the destination he went to, but that's another conversation for another day. But
But he cared too much for them, bro. I feel like he cared about winning too much for the Rockets at that point. And I think like with that core, bro, it was kind of not saying like he was not saying like he's like a veteran or anything, but he had pulled and like him leaving really because they were talking about trading him in the beginning of like season last year. But I think he got to a point where he's a little bit older than these guys, and he was like, "Yo, I, these guys don't play to really win. These guys don't play a winning brand of basketball." And I want to win, even though I'm young. I'm still trying to earn my minutes. I'm still trying to find my niche. That's just the vibes he gave me when I watched him play, because he plays with a lot of passion and he's constantly out there communicating. He's
mhm.
on the bench, and you can tell when he's angry, when he's
Even
upset.
even even when Jabari hit the game winner, game one in the summer league, he ran right to KJ Martin, shaking his
Yep,
hand.
yep,
So like
exactly.
it's listen, man, I wish it could have worked, but no, considering they have Jabari and Tari, bro, I see why they ended up having to move on because at the end of the day, KJ for them is kind of like he's capped with them. I feel
Right.
like the potential of Jabari and Tari, they have a little bit more potential and upside based on what they kind of came into the league with.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as KJ, I think is more of what KJ does on the court. Screw upside, screw potential. What he does on the court for them was just fun to watch, and it was exciting
I'm
to always tune into, bro. But
one
again, I'm
last
just
point
sad
on
to
him.
see him go.
One last point on him before I swing it back to Tari is I'm gonna miss watching him miss watching Sengun pass that on him, bro.
Bro,
Them
them
back,
little dump offs,
bro.
bro. Them little dump offs, dog. Them little
I'm
dump
gonna
offs,
miss the
bro.
shit. I'm gonna miss the hell out of that, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you. That shit was so fun to watch. Like even though they down 40, bro, Sengun gonna find him with a behind the back baseline pass, bro. That
Yep.
he's a love watching. I ain't gonna hold you. But back to Tari, bro. I just want to shout out the numbers he's putting up in the summer league right now. Just pulled it up real quick. 23-9. Put it averaging a steal a game. I think a couple blocks a game. He's just out there wilding, and like you mentioned, like with that, like his just defensive tenacity. Like I see it on a constant basis, where he makes guys super uncomfortable, and
Mm-hmm.
he just has such strong hands and just such quick hands and accuracy. Where he just so good at ripping the ball away from guys. Whether it's somebody gets a rebound, he takes it right back from him, or just on the perimeter, he gets the guy like tripped up. He just couldn't take it right from him. And he's off. He's just a one man fast break.
Right.
And whether he's starting, whether he's coming off the bench, he's going to be a viable piece for them down the line, like you said, because he just does all the winning things. He does everything you want out of a player that doesn't excel at one thing on the offensive end like too much. He's not a great shooter. He improved a little bit going left, but that's still not really his game as far as like driving. He makes his plays in transition. So to have a guy like that can come in, he scraps, he rebounds, he defends, and all of it makes winning plays, and all of it is at the right time. Like he's just such a viable piece for them. So I had to shout him out because he's been killing it too. Um, and yo, one more, bro. We gotta talk about Mari Bailey because that's another person who we were talking about with
As far as
as far as
fit,
no, not even that. As far as like Leonard Miller, we was talking about who went second round. We're like, yo, he's the first round pick. Been watching Amari Bailey all summer league long, bro, and just he's a first round pick.
he is, but bro, I still don't like the fit. I see why they did it, but I still don't like the fit.
I
He's another guy that could have benefited being on a more developed or established team, a team that
yeah,
maybe a automatically playoff squad or a squad that kind of is in and out of that playing eighth to 6 seed spot. So it's again, I like it. I think he'll end up he'll I think he'll make the best out of it for one. I don't think that's another thing I noticed about Amari. I think he will be a player that can go anywhere and kind of get his
hmm
own lane and make his own production worthwhile. Um, but yeah, I have liked what I've seen from him. I wasn't really surprised considering what he did in UCLA. Another guy that you can expect to step up when he needs to, based off track
yeah.
record so far. Um, it's a perfect, bro. Honestly, he might be a hot take, but he might be like a top 7 guard in the draft.
He definitely is, in my opinion. He
As far
definitely
as
is.
maybe a top 5, top 7 point guard, maybe not a guard, maybe a point. As far as playing the point guards in this draft, I feel like they're going to be a lot of hit or miss point guards in this draft, bro. And I feel like you're going to go through a lot of first round hit or miss point guards, and we
Yeah,
can probably do that later down on the line when we get halfway through this season. But there's a lot of guys where I feel like they might just not get the same production as Amari can, bro. And I feel like it's just that type of tenacity and the way he plays his game contributes to that.
right. He again, same thing. He makes a lot of the winning plays. He hasn't been efficient really. Much like everything, a lot of people in this league haven't been efficient. Like a lot of players haven't been efficient whatsoever. And I just see him making winning plays. He's hitting timely shots. He's finding guys. He's competing on the boards. Like he just goes out there and tries to win. So I had to shout him out too because he's just somebody I've been enjoying watching so far in the summer league. And another person is even though Wemby's been getting a lot of attention, and we're gonna talk about him too, of course, because everybody got the news. He shut down. He shut down for the rest of the summer league after 2 games. But I can't remember if it's Justin or Julian, but one of the San Penny Bros, the twins that's on the San
I think
Antonio
it's
Spurs.
Justin.
I'm pretty sure it is Justin because I think Julian's on the Celtics. He just quietly signed a deal with like a real deal with the San Antonio Spurs, and bro, he's been another guy that I've really been enjoying watching his growth during the summer league too, because he was a guy that flopped in between the league and the G League last year, and was like kind of on the
We got to switched up. We got to switched up. So Justinian is on Boston, and Julian is on the Spurs.
Okay, so it's Julian. Either way, bro been
Both
snapping.
of them are playing pretty good though.
Exactly. I think it doesn't the one on the Celtics. I think he's like
He's
top
like
five in
number
both top.
two. Yeah, he's like number two in rebounds right now.
Exactly. So, but with Julian on the Spurs, he showed a lot of growth as far as his shot creation ability and his ability to get to his spots, use athleticism to beat guys and get into the rim. He had the body like he had the poster of the summer league in my opinion. That joint he had and
Yep.
guys over Wemby, those were like it was up there for the top two for me. But he had one of the top bodies of the summer league for me, and he just been a madman like as far as getting to the rim and playing with the toughness that I seen him play back when think that was the one that was at St. John. I'm so bad when it comes to twins, bro. I can't tell none of them apart. But I'm pretty sure he's the one that played at St. John. And to watch his game from there, where he was pretty much like a hustle man, spot up three guy that could get in transition player, to watch him grow and be a shot creator and again make winning plays and make winning defensive plays. He really impressed me so far during the summer league.
Yeah, one more for you. Well, it's not. He's a wobbler. I mean, no, actually, I can't even bring him up because he doesn't really count for this. I do want to talk about Keegan, but I don't even think it's like respectful enough to even talk to him about like
He didn't
around.
belong. He should have been on the bench where everybody else watching and taking pictures stuff.
He just wanted to get his feet wet though. He wanted to see where he was at, and bro, the way he's looking, dog.
He was a playoff starter, dog. He walked in there and dropped 41. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing, bro. Come on.
Bro, he was just checking the temperature, bro, see what they was on, dog. He had to see what was going on, bro.
He had to show Chris what it was real quick, bro. That he owned. Wasn't he summer league MVP last year?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he was.
The summer league MVP last. I might be tweaking, but I'm
Yeah, he
pretty
had the
sure
nerve
he
to
was.
he had the nerve to play 2 games, bro. Bro, but I'm happy he did that, bro, because honestly, he's one of those players that one, he's not really vocal. So like what you're gonna see from him and him getting off what he needs to get off is gonna be on the court. And bro, his improvements and from what I've seen offensively, bro, it's gonna be bad. The Kings are going to have something to be excited about this year. I'm
Mm-hmm.
honestly excited to really watching him really made me excited to see how this Western Conference works out this year, bro. Because I feel like the
For
Kings
sure.
will be in another situation to where they're going to be a very dangerous team, whether it's the first or second round, and it all depends on the matchup. I honestly feel like if a couple different adjustments in that first round against the Warriors, bro, they could have easily won that series. But
Mm-hmm.
again, not too much on Keegan. He doesn't even deserve to even be in this conversation right now, bro. Is like he was Kawhi out there pretty much looking the way he looked. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
I'll
I
shout out
do want to
somebody.
give you.
My fault. Go
Now
ahead.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
but I was gonna bring up disappointments. Shoot another shout out.
Last one. I can't believe we forgot him because we was raving about him before we hopped on. Keontae George, bro.
Oh yeah,
He's
we were
yeah.
stressed about the Jazz finding a point guard, and maybe he's not an all sure starter starting out the season, but they do have a point guard for the future, and I do feel like one, his scoring ability. One, everybody thought he wasn't going to be a consistent scorer. So far, he's looking like a guy that can heat up on his own and get create for others.
He's a
Not maybe
choice.
not as good as he scores, but I can see the ability to create for others as well. And
Mm-hmm.
he's just again another player that you're gonna just enjoy watching. And Utah has another player. Well, one, he's in Utah, so anything they get out there is gonna be exciting for them.
For
But in
sure.
general, bro, he's gonna be a fun guy to watch this year coming up. So I'm excited to see him as well.
I like how deliberate he's been when it comes to like looking for his own bucket.
Hmm.
Like he
He knows his spots. He knows where he likes to score at.
he knows his spot. He knows where to get to once he's creating like when it comes to creating space. And he really excelled at it. And it's something that we weren't able to see at Baylor because I mentioned this a few episodes ago. And me and you talked about it before. Baylor's not a place where one and done players are going to come and put up 19, 20 points a game and have free range to just do whatever they want with the ball and go out there and score. They're a team that
Hmm.
plays team basketball. You gotta pass the rock around. And like I was telling Colin before, like when they're relevant, it's not just because of one guy. It's because of multiple guys. Think of that year
Yep.
went to the tip. Mark Vital, Davion Mitchell, Jared Butler, all them. Like it was multiple guys that playing like a
Hmm.
team effort. So with Keontae, it was kind of it was kind of wrong to expect him to come in and be what we saw in high school and be that one and done guy like I was talking about, putting him 19 plus points a game and getting all those shots and getting any shot he wants. He just wasn't able to play like that. So, but I think it did help him out where you kind of pointed out to as far as his creation skills because he's really shown some good like some good vision and good ability to make reads and the pick and roll and stuff like that. And I, again, I was kind of iffy on the pick as far as like the fit or whatever, but I could definitely see him fitting in. And I like I'm kind of back on the hype train with him. He had me shook a little bit, but I had to shout him out, bro. He been snapping so far. But go ahead
Hmm.
and talk about some disappointments that you've seen so far. Some like don't even gotta be about specific players. It can be like just go ahead. It's just disappointments. Like yeah, go ahead.
Bro, again, I did not expect this player to be like a. I had high hopes for this player, but considering where he got picked at, it was just like, bro, you better come in the summer league and be coming crazy, and he hasn't been, and that's Jet Howard, bro. He,
Yeah,
I don't, I haven't even one. We all knew coming into here, his defensive potential wasn't really anything to really be worried about. He doesn't really have any right now, and honestly, I feel like that's because of his build. He's very a slender, lanky shooter guy. But even then, on his offensive side, he hasn't shown up like to me to whatsoever to be considered. What pick did he get picked again, bro? Was it
it was
11?
yep.
So, and don't get me wrong, I think I said it on the last pod where I was kind of I think I brought this up again. I felt like they should have drafted Grady there. And even though Grady is having his growing pains as well, I still feel like visually
Mhm.
Grady looks like the better option and better player at that pick. Considering, especially what they tried to grab, they wanted a shooter clearly,
Yeah,
or a guy that can.
exactly. If you want a shooter, you get the best shooter in the draft at that point. Like
And to me, he wasn't considering everything else he comes with the baggage he came with. One, his lack of defensive potential. Honestly, bro, I don't really see what else he can do for you other than be a spot up, maybe off screen shooter. It's just I don't know. I'm gonna be hard on him considering he got picked 11th, but I still have hopes for him, bro. But I just don't see the one. I don't think he really fits with the Magic, honestly. But
I didn't think so either. Because in my opinion, he's like a tweener. Like and that's rare in a league now where like it's pretty much positionless. So I
mhm,
generally can't tell if he's a three or a four because he's about 6. He's pretty big to be a two, but he doesn't have that consistent separation ability or like
nope.
that ability to raise up and hit a bucket or like contested shots. Like a lot of his shots are wide open or like lowly contested that he makes. So and like as far as a three, like he's not going to be able to guard. He's a little too light and he's not like he's that defensive ability is not there for him to be guarding threes. That can bully him and take him on the block and stuff like that. So
Yep.
it's it's kind of weird. Like I've only watched the one game of him so far. I think he went like 3 or 13 or something like that. And a lot of his shots looked rushed. He didn't really look too comfortable, and it just looked like he tried too hard to show why the Magic took this risk on him at number 11. In my opinion, at least, is a risk. But I think he sees it that way too because he wasn't projected to go that high.
Nope.
And I didn't. I don't. Nobody. We did a mock draft with had him going that high. Mocks I was looking like reading and stuff like didn't really have him going that high.
He
So
was a first round pick. I ain't gonna do that to him, but he was
yeah,
like a 20.
first round.
He
He's a
was
first round
20.
pick.
He was 20 and lower, like to the
Mhm.
20 range, or in the 20s. So
Yeah,
it's
but
just
he was another guy. I think he should have went to a little more of an established team. Like I think he would have been nice in a place like Brooklyn, like a little spark plug off the bench where he had some perimeter defenders around, like Royce O'Neal and guys like I think Dorian Finney-Smith is still there. Guys like that. But coming here, like surrounded by these young guys, where you pretty much got your like one
You already
Paolo
have your
guy.
core. You already
Exactly,
have your
Paolo
core of Franz.
Franz, exactly. Which yeah, that makes it even more confusing because yeah, Franz,
They're pretty much
like
the same size, but Franz plays that tweener position so much better because he can do so much more for the team on the floor other than
hmm
just score.
and not to mention last year, fellow Michigan bro, Caleb Houston from last year's draft. He's been playing really good in the summer
Yeah,
league.
yes, he
Kind of
has. He has been. He
yo,
has.
his he found his jumper.
And they're
His
kind of the same. And they're kind of the same person.
yeah, but
So it's a
Caleb's
little
more
weird.
athletic. Caleb's a
Yeah, he
little more
is.
athletic than Jet is,
He is.
and his game's a little more clear cut than Jet, where Jet showed himself off to be a shot creator. But in the A, I don't see that happening because if he's playing the two guy, where he's like still said like 6'7", 6'8", buck 95, 200.
Mhm.
He he doesn't really have athleticism like to compete with other guys. Like I just don't really see it working on a team like the Magic. So I definitely agree with you on that one. But I'm gonna throw another guy out there who I'm gonna tie it to Jet, who I said I think is trying a little bit too hard out there to prove himself. Cam Whitmore, and Cam Whitmore's been playing pretty good. He played pretty good, but there's a lot of things that. Well, the main thing was he's not passing the ball. He's not passing the ball whatsoever. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the play me and you've been harping on these past couple of days where they got the steal on the fast break at half court. And Men Thompson was right there, a couple paces ahead of him. All he had to do was advance the ball, and he would have got the ball back. He tried to plunge it into the paint against
Turn
the
the ball
defender,
over.
turn the ball over. And it's been multiple plays like that. And even in today's game where they were playing, I think they were playing the Thunder,
Hmm.
where he uh, he's just jacking up like just random three balls and just random trade balls once he gets his hands on the ball. And it's like he's not playing within the flow of the offense. He's not he's not trying to like get other guys involved. It's kind of like it's him against the world. And I can see why you feel that way when you were projected top five pick and you dropped the number 20. So I mean, I wholeheartedly understand. Even Ime Udoka was talking about it during the sideline interview. He's like, I understand where he's coming from, but at the end of the day, it's like we're here now. We want you. You just gotta play ball. But I think he he's got a couple chips on his shoulder. Not that he's got a couple chips on his shoulder. He's really like he's really going out there to try to prove himself. But nevertheless, on paper, he's putting up good numbers. There's a lot of things that you could like to be impressed about as far as uh his ability to finish through contact that we've seen. His jumper's been falling a little bit. His ability to finish the transition. There's a lot of things to be excited about.
Hmm.
So give me your thoughts on Cam Whitmore because I know he's been a polarizer player so far since the draft and summer league.
When he's doing right, he's fun to watch. When he's
Hmm
not, it's just a lot of the things he's not doing is something you can see he can easily work on. And it's just right now the way his mind is clouded. It's just it really is like he has like a bloodlust for proving himself. And honestly, bro, I think one the Rockets know who you are. I'm pretty sure everybody that knows who you are, and you don't really have to go out there and overprove yourself. I think that's what he's falling into right now, bro. And honestly, but just before we got on, I was watching a few plays after he was making his mistakes. He had a couple. One, I think his three ball is a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Legit. He
But
got a legit
it's all
jumper.
about his shot selection. He doesn't need that to be his strict amount of the game. That's not really his game. Bro is athletic. He knows how to get downhill. He knows how to push the floor. Work yourself
Hmm
in and then come out. Go back to the outside. That'll make yourself comfortable and get yourself warmed up. Um, but yeah, bro, honestly, again, he's still one of the best steals of the draft. I think he'll end off the season coming up as still one of the best steals of the draft, considering how low he went when he was projected to be a top five, top seven player.
hmm
Um, but yeah, listen, he'll be fine. I think he'll be perfectly fine. It is going to be a little weird considering they are in a logjam spot in that go one to two position. I
Right.
don't really see him playing the three. I have to see him more defensively. That's one thing not really worried, but I'm interested to see how he kind of takes that on this season coming up. Is the defense? I feel like
Yeah,
he's obviously athletic. He has the motor for it. I just it's just all about commitment. Um,
yeah. And not to cut you off, bro. As far like I want to touch on like as far as you saying what position he plays as far as the two and the three. I think with me personally, I do think he's a three. But when it comes to that defensive aspect of playing that position and playing the wing, and the wing guys are going to have to guard night in and night out in the Western Conference.
mhm.
Some people may laugh at this, but he should take some note from Dylan Brooks, who they just signed to that big contract. He should take some notes where as far as being an agitator, because Dylan Brooks is nowhere near athletic as Cam Whitmore is, but he makes it happen on the defensive end at most when he's locked in and he's playing the game correctly.
We also got to
But
take in consideration they have Ime, a defensive minded coach. So,
exactly. So
and
I'm
I
saying
honestly considering I was gonna throw in considering all the Dylan Brooks antics. I don't think he ends up going there and kind of giving off that same bravado or persona. I feel like maybe
I
he does in some
thought
kind of way, but it's going to be a lot more dialed down and precise than just to be out there just doing anything you want and think it's going to work.
right.
So you're right. Dylan being there is honestly going to help out the team in general, and Ime being there since he's like a defensive minded coach. So I'm definitely excited to see that, and that'll be one of my big points for our next topic. I had one more disappointment, and we low key will letting guys slide right now. We're
Bro,
low key letting it.
I got a couple. I only got one more guy in mind, but go ahead, bro.
Bro, Brandon Miller,
Oh,
bro.
all right. There you go. Yeah, yeah,
Which Colin was here, so we can have this conversation with the guy that was sitting there caping for him,
yeah.
and then
And I
not
just
to
want
sit here and not to
hold on. Go ahead, bro. My fault. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
and
gonna
not to
go
sit
ahead.
here. I don't want to sit there and throw a trash bag on him, but bro isn't
Exactly.
looking horrible. But bro, again, is not looking like a number two prospect at all.
Exactly. Exactly.
And all the things I said, we've said that he's going to struggle with: one, defense; two, creating the ball, creating shots for himself off the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
They're honestly just showing in the summer league. So I can't imagine what he's going to be doing day in and day out, growing. His growing pains are going to be bad. Put it this way: the player he may become or can become is going to be a lot of growing pains, and it's going to take a while, from what I've seen.
Right.
Um, but yeah, he's just not looking,
I mean,
bro.
the defense is evident when we saw those 15 fouls he picked up in 2 games.
2 games, bro. 2 games.
Yep.
It's just, again, bro is not horrible. He's a. I feel like he's a solid prospect, but considering how high he went, I just need more. And I guess we can kind of parry that off with Wemby, considering his first game performance.
Uh huh.
But again, him shooting bad in that first game didn't deteriorate from him doing everything else on the floor. He was creating for others. He was blocking shots. He was grabbing rebounds.
Exactly.
Again, Brandon's been grabbing boards. I'm not going to sit here and act like he hasn't been, but
Mm-hmm.
again, bro, we need. I just need more. And maybe I'm being stingy, and maybe I'm being a little too hard on him, but I just need more, bro.
No, I definitely agree with you. He definitely got to show more. He's putting up 13 points, 9.5 boards though, which is fine. But again, that defense we've been talking about hasn't been showing up. His screen navigation is horrible. Like it low key reminds me of watching Cam Reddish when he played for us, trying to run over, trying to run around screens. Like he did again. He just dies on the screens, bro. And he doesn't really show no fight like toughness or fight like on the defensive end consistently. But he's shown some things like in spurts like to be pretty excited about because I don't want to keep trashing him like you're saying because I can't see I can see him becoming a pretty decent player. It's just my whole thing is he's not a top three top five prospect in my eyes. But he's shown at certain points he's a flamethrower. We know that he gets shoot from the outside. In
Hmm.
short in short instances he can create shots and I'm talking about like a couple dribbles, a few dribbles, step back like he has a few moves in his bag he can go to create his space and to get his shot off. He's a lot more athletic than I thought he was. Um, Even though he can't really get to the rim to finish because his handles that allow him to. Like he gets stripped a lot. Like guys can get in and get to his bread basket easy. So
Right.
is aspects to his game that he really excels at. Another thing I want to point out, he's a bit of a better passer than I thought too. A lot of those passes he makes, like a transition and leading guys with those passes, he's very good at that. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as like the scoring aspect, there's a lot of things that's like I'm waiting to like I'm waiting to see like grow a little bit more to see if he'll be Paul George, which a lot of people are calling him, where he'll be a 24 to 25, 26 point per game scorer, or if he's just gonna be like in my opinion, like a Harrison Barnes, Danny Granger, 18, 19 point per game scorer, you know? But I like that you mentioned Wemby because I also wanted to slide into that too real quick where you did you pulled up his first game too where he had a rough time. I think he shot like 2 or 13 at 9 points.
Getting
Um
moved off the block real easy.
moved up
Was
he was
looking
super
lost out there
the
at
ball,
times.
super weak with the ball. Did look lost, yep. And
And
and,
I
uh, and
wanted
it
to point,
looked like he didn't have a gas like his gas tank was low. Like he just wasn't really keeping up with the motion of the game.
and this may be some type of rebuttal or me trying to make an excuse for him, but I forget who was commentating at the time. But they were explaining that one, the man was just in the finals about like 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago.
I would say that's why I was telling you that while we was watching the game. He just
But
got done, skiing.
and and also what I've been hearing is I don't all the things he's been involved in. I don't think bro really wants to be a part of that spotlight. I think that's one of the reasons why he loves San Antonio so much is the structure.
Right.
Wemby's been since he was 14, 15, 16. He's been off of structure, off of schedule, off of just being
Hmm.
precise and methodical with his process of getting into the league or playing basketball professionally.
Right.
And all the extra antics and the NBA tournament announcement, him being there,
The
him
whole
being
brick.
like all that stuff is getting in. Bro just wants to sit in San Antonio, bro, and work on his game, and that's one of the reasons why I think he ended up getting call it quits for the summer league. Not him, but the San Antonio Spurs wanted him to call it quits, so he can just go home and work on his game. So now, do I necessarily agree with it or like it? Not really. Honestly, I feel like he could have. Feel like he could have entered the preseason a little bit more comfortable if he would have played a few more games, maybe or
Right.
maybe not. But
Yeah.
I do feel like his second game was worthy though of, and what we've seen from his second game was definitely a build off of the first game, considering his
Mhm.
rebounding, his defense, creating for others. He just got his shot up. I seen him in a couple mid ranges. He was
What he put?
attacking
He
the
put up
ball.
like 25 or something like that, right? Like
hmm
25, I
He was
think
just
12 or 13.
snagging boards. He had his own little self put back dunk. Everybody loves seeing him do. So it's just he looks good. I'm not necessarily worried. It's just that him getting moved off the block so easily, he's gonna have to figure out ways. If he's not planning on putting on weight, he's gonna have to figure out how to use his body and his length to kind of mask that or cover that as best as possible. I feel like that's gonna be his literally main problem.
Yeah, and that's something that's going to come because he talked about it on draft night where everybody wants him to bulk up, where he sees it in his mind where is he's fine with the frame he has. He has to just get stronger. He just has to develop more power in his core and in his shoulders and his arms and his lower body, which is I think is the best way to go about it because you don't want him to lose his mobility and his agility.
hmm
But
Mitchell
as of right,
Robinson.
precisely, you gain like 70 pounds that off, bro. I don't know what he was doing, but yeah, you don't want him. Yeah, again, you don't want him to lose that agility and that lighter foot that he has. But it's going to be. I can see it happening a lot in his rookie season, where we seen in his first game him simply being taken out of games because even off ball, when you put a body on him, he's taken out. It's easy to take him out the play. Or if he's trying to establish himself down court again, you move him off the block, or you get around him real quick, easily. He's out the play because he can't really compete with you physically yet. And again, he's coming off playing up until the finals of last season of his French league that ended a few weeks ago. So I think I think the Spurs. I don't blame the Spurs whatsoever for shutting him down because one, I think they seen what they wanted to see from him in that second game where he did go off. He had a much better game. He looked a lot more comfortable. He got his shot off a lot more. And I frankly I think they just wanted him to end off on a good note. They didn't want him to go out there and have another bad game possibly and hear it all from the media and stuff calling him Anthony Bennett and all that. Like
hmm
they didn't want him to have to go through all that and deservedly so. So I Yeah, I think Wemby he showed us he showed us what he's capable of, and I think he should just work on developing his game and developing his body until the preseason comes. But did you have any more disappointments though? Is there anybody else that you want to see some more from? I remember we was talking about Jaden Ivey not really showing that
Yeah, there's a
second.
couple second year players. There's a couple second year players. Jaden Ivey
Okay.
and Benedict Mathurin.
Hmm.
They're one for Benny. He's jacking. Man, I ain't even gonna lie to you. He's jacking.
He's
I don't
playing
know
like
if
Cam
that's
Whitmore in certain aspects.
right. And not to harp on them too much, but I feel like they're going through the same thing. Kind of. They're kind of trying. Honestly, bro, I don't even know how exactly to put it. But I felt like them two were both supposed to come into this summer league, their second year in the league, hop in for like 3, 4, 5 games, bro, and then go back to training camp. They head back to the facility, and
Hmm.
for both of them, I feel like they need to stay the whole entire time. Honestly, to kind of figure out what they need to get. And I really feel like it's just shot selection for one. And Jaden needs to
Yeah,
work, Jaden honestly needs to work on his ability to score off his own dribble. Because
yeah,
considering that you have a Sar there now, another guy that can't really necessarily score for himself other than inside, you're going to be the need the guy, his second guy other than Kay Cunningham and whoever else is on the court with you to make it
yeah.
easier for him and make you a better player for one. Because, bro, like Stephen A. always says, bro, I wish we had him, bro. Because everybody sees the potential he has, everybody knows what he can do, and honestly, I feel like he'll be fine. It's just shocking to see, considering all the other 2, 3 year players that's in the summer league now going crazy.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. Yeah. And you touching on the Asar thing. Asar, I wasn't upset. Like I wasn't upset with like how we played so far in the summer league. I think he's put up like 9 points or something like that. Some way, and he's put up a pretty stat line. It's just the shooting in the shot creation I seen in the mid range where he would try to create in the mid range and he just absolutely had nothing for you. He has shot like two air balls in the mid range off of the dribble, and you just tell that's not where he's comfortable at. And again, you're correct. You gotta, as Jaden Ivey, you gotta kind of one be able to set him up and direct him into certain places and in certain areas where you can have him score off the ball as a lob threat or as a cutter. And two, you gotta have your shooting itself as off the dribble or in the mid range or from deep. It's got to be better.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be more consistent to kind of make up for that because it opens the floor up a lot more for guys like Asar to get those backdoor cuts, to get the ball in the paint like he's accustomed to. So yeah, I definitely think Detroit. It's funny we ended up on them because I'm definitely gonna switch the topic to our top cores, bro. And Detroit's one of the ones that we're gonna be talking about. But we're gonna start from the bottom to the top with this. Give me we're gonna do top three. Give me your third best young core. I'm talking like guys mostly 25 and under in the league right now.
My third, I'm gonna go with Houston.
Okay.
All right, and one, honestly, I feel like Houston's the layout of their roster. I feel like is potentially one, but considering where they're at and how they're starting off, I feel like they're kind of starting a little bit farther behind than the other teams that I'm going to name at 2-1. But I feel like they're one adding Amani, Ime Udoka, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, controversial money, I know, but considering what
Mhm.
they can bring for those young guys, one guy being a champion, one guy being a defensive specialist in a way, if you want to call him that.
Right.
Um, I just feel like they're leading into the right direction. Let go some of the talent they needed to got rid of, hence KJ Martin. And considering Ime being a defensive minded coach, the tools he has at his hand, at his disposal, Tari Eason and Jabari Smith. Now the one hard thing is going to be finding rotation and finding who can play with who and who's going to get the most minutes out of who. And honestly, bro, if it was possible, I would literally play Tari, Jabari, and Sengun all at once, bro. If it was possible.
Literally. Literally.
So, but then that also logjams their guard position, considering they have three potential starting guards and Fred VanVleet, Kevin Porter Jr., and Jalen Green. So
Uh-huh.
That's another reason why they're 3. There's still a logjam there. They still have a lot to get work on, but I still love their core. They have so many players I enjoy watching on that team. They unfortunately got rid of my guy Josh Christopher, but I feel like they're going to be their future is very bright now, but I do still feel like they have a lot of work to do though.
Where I like that. Houston's definitely in my top three. For a lot of the same reasons you said, they just have a lot of young guys that's enjoyable watching. Um, but I'll touch on that when I get to them because at number three, I actually had the Detroit Pistons. And it's been kind of hard like going through these teams in my head because there's a lot of young guys where it's all about the fit and it's all about a lot of these teams have log jams like you're talking about, and have a lot of young guys that are like on the same timeline but play to like a lot of the same positions or have a lot of like play styles that overlap each other. Which is why like a team like the Orlando Magic, who has some guys like I really like especially like Paolo Banchero, they fell out of my top three. Simply because
Hmm.
a lot of their guys, I don't know what the future's got in store for them as far as being a part of that team outside of like Paolo, Bronze, and maybe Markel, who I don't think Markel's even under 25 anymore. But still, I just don't know as far as like Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony guys like that go. I don't know what's going on with them. Bro. I don't know what they got
Hmm.
planned. And I like Anthony Black, but Jet Howard still's got a lot to show for me. So that's why a team like Orlando left out. But I'm gonna go with Detroit here because their team, they're either going to be the scariest team in the league one day, or one of those teams that blew it with a bunch of young guys, and those young guys go other places sometime down the line, and we'll look back at them like, damn, if they all stayed with the Pistons, they would have went crazy.
Hmm.
But again, the Pistons have a logjam with their bigs. Who I'm gonna start with James Wiseman, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart, who just signed himself a nice contract, well deserved, I might add, because he brings a lot to that team as far as toughness and rebounding and defensive versatility. But the development of Wiseman and Duren is gonna be something to look at because we see him in summer league now, where Wiseman looks a little more comfortable, and he brings a different demeanor to the game now. He's yelling at guys. He's yelling after dunks. He's staring guys down. He brings a bit of a different demeanor than when we see him in Golden State. But I think the Detroit Pistons as a team and as a franchise covet what Jalen Duren brings more because one is art is more clear cut and is more translatable to the guy that they play with as far as being an
Hmm.
insane runner with a huge physique and crazy athleticism because he doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective. And if he's not scoring and if he has 4 or 5 points, maybe only on 3, 4 shots, he's still effective in other areas as far as blocking shots and protecting the rim and rebounding. Where Wiseman needs the ball in his hand to be effective as a
Right.
scorer. So, but I still like what they got. I still think they can create a lot with that and with their guards and slash wings such as Cade, Ivy, and Asar, who they just drafted, it all boils down to it really all boils down to at least two of those guys developing a consistent jump shot and Cade Cunningham staying healthy. So I think if everything and it's going to be a lot, but if everything like aligns, like they figure out like what to do as far as like the Wiseman and the run thing goes, you get Asar Thompson's offensive game a little more developed because he's already has a lot of things he could translate now to help those guys out. You keep Kay Cunningham healthy and turn him into that perennial star, that number one pick he is, and have Jada Ivy as that wingman, that second option, that second best player on your squad.
Hmm.
Detroit can be a scary fucking team, bro. Detroit can be scary, but I have them at three for right now and I'll explain later why I have my other two teams ahead of them. But I'm gonna give the floor back to you. Who's your second best young core in the league right now?
You honestly kind of you made my two a lot harder than I thought it was. I was honestly going to go with Orlando, but once you kind of moved Orlando off your list and gave your explanation why, bro, I kind of feel a little stupid bringing up Orlando. So
I
I'm a
mean,
jacket. I'm a honestly jacket number 3 pick because for one, I'm gonna put Detroit at 2, and here's why. I feel like one the way they're distributed as in their potential star players is a little bit better than Houston. And I feel like the way they're set up is just the same exact way they're set up in Detroit with Monty Williams, a guy that's defensive minded, a guy that's
Mm.
going to be a very, very, very good mentor for those young guys. And I can't wait to see how he molds them. And
He's locked up there
considering,
for a while too.
yep. So, and considering they're in the East as well, I feel like they'll have a faster growing phase being in the East. So I'll put them higher specifically for that reason and the reasons you just named. But if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump into my number one. I'm gonna let you do your 2 and 1. But I believe
Mm.
our number one is going to be the same, and we can kind of collaborate and tag team on that. But my number one is going to be the Thunder.
Okay, yeah,
But go ahead,
yeah,
you can do
yeah.
your two right quick.
Honest flop. I got the Thunder. I mean, not the Thunder. I got the Rockets at 2, simply because I think their core is a little accelerated more, getting the best that they got with Fred
Right.
Van. Even though I don't think that was the connector type of point guard as far as being an older guy for the Rockets, I think he just got his bag there. To be honest with y'all, and they needed to use the money, and they overpaid Dylan Brooks, but again, they had to use the money. But I think a guy
How would
like
you have?
Fred,
How would you? This sounds crazy. It sounds super crazy. How would you have felt if they would have possibly? Well, no, Jalen can't even get extended, can he?
no, I don't think he can get extended until like next season.
But just to throw this out there, how would you have felt if they would have either cut Fred's money or not grabbed him at all and grabbed a guy like Kyle Lowry returning to Houston on a like 2 year on a pretty much a Russell Westbrook contract, bro. If honestly considering, bro, because Fred is at a point in his age where one he doesn't, bro, he's not old enough for him to just be just jumping on a young team and just sitting there and being a vet guy making 140 million.
I mean,
Nah,
some could say he can because he got his chip. Some could say he cool now.
bro, I low key ran back his chip stats. Bro wasn't really going as crazy as I thought he was. He didn't go
Yeah,
crazy until the
no,
season after.
yeah, yeah. He had some struggles, but throughout that playoff run, though, he definitely cake
He
throughout the
was,
entire
he
playoff
was,
run. He caked.
he was. But again, I would have liked a lot lesser paid person and maybe a little bit older of guy that doesn't really have. I shouldn't say much left to play for because I feel like I'm not really a huge Kyle Lowry fan, so this feels weird defending him. But
Can't even
I
think of
still feel
nobody.
like one, he, yeah, I can't think of anybody else, but I feel like one, Kyle Lowry used to play in Houston. He's a
Mm-hmm.
defensive minded type of point guard. He's a hard nosed point guard. Things those the Houston kind of needs, and I felt like they could have got him at a cheaper price than paying Fred Van Vliet 140 mil for 3 years. So,
Yeah, but again, they had
shout
used
out to bro
Fred.
for getting his bag though, but I would have liked you in like the Lakers or something or something like that, bro. But
Yeah, but I think Fred sees it as an opportunity, like to help out a young guy like Jalen Green to kind of slow the game down, trust his teammates a little bit more, and explain and show him like winning aspects of the game, such as playing defense. Because Fred's another hard nosed defender. He's another guy that goes out there and makes winning plays. So I think him going out there and helping a young guy like Jalen Green out. Even a Kevin Porter Jr., who we see, he's probably going to come off the bench now. And Amen Thompson, all these young guards, I think could learn a lot from Fred Van Vliet while during his time there. And he just take things with him, like during like whether like after he leaves or whatever, and it's just them if they're still all
hmm
together, and use that winning some of those winning ingredients to like to push themselves a little bit farther and to improve certain aspects of their game that contributes towards winning, such as like with Kevin Porter Jr. It's not even with him. It's more so. I think going back to the bench is going to be the best for him because one, he'll have that ball in his hands a lot more, especially playing with a guy like Amen, who's not going to shoot the ball as much. And is not too much of a shot creator, and kind of likes to play off ball a little bit more anyway. If he's not bringing the ball up or initiating the offense. So I think it's
right.
going to be. I think it's going to be good for a guy like KPJ. I think Fred kind of helps him through that whole thing because he has been a starter for a couple years, and I know he wants to win too, but I just think he helps these guys mature. I think he just helps these guys mature a little bit more and come together more as a unit. with one. But as far as the rest of the roster, you already know how I feel about Operation Goon. That's probably since our guy Melo retired. That's probably my favorite guy in the league right now. My favorite player in the league right now. Um, he's just another guy that's a joy to watch. He's a joy to watch passing and make his teammates look good. Tyree Easton, Jabari Smith, who we've been talking about all night long. Um, I just really trust this young core guys. That I shouldn't say trust, but I trust them in the hands of Ime Udoka, who's going to help groom these guys and make these guys professionals. And yeah, I honestly love their core. I really wanted to go be disrespectful and put them at one, but I couldn't do that yet. They ain't really proved nothing for me to
I
do
was
that
going
yet.
to be brave and cheat and put the Pacers at 2, but they kind
Yo,
of.
I was about putting the Pacers in there too. Though. I was thinking like, yo, a lot of these guys older, like Miles, Buddy. Uh, yeah, they a little bit old. TJ, like they a little bit older, bro. They a little bit older.
But this number one though, since I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
that was
this is
tough.
your unanimous number one,
Yeah, it's a
probably
Thunder.
top 3 favorite players in the league right now. My boy SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Another probably hot take. Other than Paulo, he was my favorite rookie last year, and that was Jalen Williams, Jelen, not Jalyn, the one from Arkansas. But I liked him
Hmm.
as well for his rookie season. He had a great rookie season. For both Jalen's really had a good rookie
They
season.
both play good. Yeah.
Um, One I felt like again another draft pick that I was a little confused by, but once I seen him playing a summer league, I see why they drafted him. They grabbed Kassan Wallace in the draft this year. I like him. I like him off the bench. He gives Isaiah Joe enough freedom to just float out there on the 3-point line off the bench now and spray as much as he wants instead of having the ball in his hands as much.
Same thing with Free Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So just in general, the one Chet's coming back. I think people honestly forget about him a lot. That's another person we didn't really get a chance to talk about for summer league performance. He has been looking solid.
Hmm.
He hasn't blown everybody away, but I feel like he's slowly but surely warming himself up and getting his feet wet back into where he kind of not even left off because didn't even get a chance to get started.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's gonna accent them really well. It's just the only thing I may concern is maybe a backup center, interior defender, other than Jalen Williams. I feel like Chet, at the end of the day, he is a great shot blocker considering his length and his size.
Hmm.
But I feel like they still need like a stoic, sturdy guy down there to back him up alongside Jalen Williams as well. That's my only
Yeah.
gripe.
Yeah, I feel like they need a they do need a true center down there because a lot of points last year they had Jay Will, not Jay Dub, but
Mm-hmm.
Jay Will playing center last year at like 6'7". I don't even gonna hold you. That's what Cook
He's
even
looking good out there.
he was holding his own. He was really holding his own. He's out there rebounding. He competes. He's hard nosed. You know, on the offensive end, I honestly thought like when he was coming out of I think Arkansas it was, I
Yep,
thought he was
yep.
really raw and underdeveloped on that end. But he showed to be a really understanding passer and knows how to get the ball to guys, and he makes really good reads. Sets
A
really good screens
decent
and rolls off him hard. Has a
decent spot
decent
up
jump
shooter
shot.
when. Yep,
Mhm.
decent spot up shooter.
Yeah, so he's got a lot to be excited about too because he brings a lot of versatility to the game and he does a lot of the dirty work for them. But do need a true big man to kind of allow him to play in that. I like him in that, like kind of like Draymond or Trace Jackson Davis, kind of like we seen him at college last year, where at the even Aaron Gordon, where at the four they have some free reign to make decisions and
Right.
to play with the ball in their hands and stuff like that, and just be out there and active on the defensive end. So him, J Dub, like you said, with Chet, who I think is going to take him some time to come back to get back and play his best because he has been out for a year. But I think he comes out and he makes life a lot easier for them on the defensive end. And as another just like scoring option as a big down low. And SGA, bro, I just think I just think he's doing what he does, putting up his close to 30 points a game.
Top
His
3 player
seven
under 25.
exactly his 6 7 boards, 6 7 boards, 6 7 dimes. He's gonna be an MVP candidate again next year. Like plain and simple, he's
Yes,
gonna be an
sir.
MVP. I think he's gonna be like top four, top five.
And
And
another reason why I just wanted to throw this, it's another. Honestly, it's cheating. The Thunder about that. I think they have what 30 picks in the next like 5 years or 7 years or
Something
something
like
like that.
something, yeah, something wild.
So that's
That's
another reason why they're number one. They just want to have picks to build off of to either trade for a star or continue to just draft well, which they've proven they can do. At
hmm
this point, I really don't. I'm not going to question anything they pick from here on out. They've drafted pretty much pristinely. Random
hmm
guys like even like Pokushevsky, he did what he was meant to do out there. More than likely, he'll get traded if he hasn't already. I'm not sure if he
Yep.
has. Um. So yeah, I'm really they're literally like the epitome of a rebuild. Rebuild. They did it the perfect way so far.
hmm
They damn near made the play-in tournament off another year where they're kind of still rebuilding. That shows you
Exactly.
one the potential and the effectiveness of SGA. Just imagine if he had a second star or a guy like Chet who kind of grows and flourishes into his
hmm
own. So yeah, OKC is number one, bro. I can't wait to see how they develop and figure out where to go next.
Yeah, and that's what separates them from the rest, bro. The fact that they actually can develop, and that's why, like you mentioned, it was kind of confusing when they picked Tayshaun. They traded up for him, actually traded up to 10 for him. That's why it was kind of confusing. But at the same time, I'm like, he's in good hands. They do a good job with their guards. You see Trey Man getting better and better slowly but surely. Jose Joe,
That was another guy. I think he had a couple games in the summer league too, and he was snapping, wasn't he?
he might have had the body of the summer league too. I ain't go. I forgot about his when I was bringing up Julian Champagny. He might have had the he dunked on Micah Potter. That joint was crazy. But yeah, bro, OKC tough. I really trust. That's again, that's the team I trust the most simply because they put their guys in the best positions and they don't play anybody outside of their comfort zone
Nope.
and it really allows them to. I'm so mad because I don't know their coach name. I don't remember who their coach is, bro. I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel bad now. I damn sure don't know.
Last season was his first season, but I really like watching him coach and watching him bring up those young guys and it's still like winning culture and winning stuff into them. So I'm really high on OKC. That's why they're number one for me as well. But look, bro, it's been a ball, man. It's been a while. It's been a long episode. I ain't gonna hold you. We covered a lot of basketball. We covered a lot of stuff for summer league. I'm sure we're gonna get back sometime next week or later this week and talk some more stuff. It's always
Hmm.
gonna be something new. But hey, bro, if you don't got anything else to say, yeah, we can end it off right here.
Hey man, I'm good, man. I had fun tonight, man. It was a good pod. It was a good pod.
For sure, for sure. Hey, you guys be on the lookout for our next very next episode after this. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but we're six Zone Podcast is always gonna bring it, the debates, the analysis. We always got it for you guys. So thanks to everybody that's been tuning in. Thanks to everybody that's subscribed and that comment. Uh, keep supporting us, and we're gonna keep putting out the best content possible. Appreciate y'all.